No
It,
problem.
it, it-
Yeah.
One thing, I was going to get to this later, but I want to mention it now. We'll go to Rob and then Colonel Lennox. Uh, Here's the question. I mentioned this before. I called it a mystery sandwich and a cliffhanger. That I think the audience, our viewers, our followers, our friends and brothers of this world want to be addressed. While this is what they're seeing, saying, and feeling. They're saying, "Well, wait a second. We hear from experts like the guests on this show and other panels and other shows that the Federal Reserve is done, the IRS is done, and the U.S. 1871 Corp is done, and we've severed all these ties, cutting the cords, as Rob said in the beginning. And while that narrative, for those that are awake and listening, uh, understand that the question they have is, when will it be officially put into motion, officially announced by the administration, where they say, okay, you don't have to pay these income taxes anymore. This is what we're going to do. The whole, in other words, I, I understand that the Federal Reserve and the IRS, for all intents and purposes, are finished, but, but when is it official? When and how will it officially be announced? Because until it is, everyone's in a quandary. Do I pay the tax? Do I not pay the tax? When, uh, did we restore our constitutional republic? While you're reporting and other experts are reporting that these things are true, when has it become, quote, official? And how would that play out? We'll start with Colonel Lennox, if you have, some thoughts about that.
Well, Trump announced the other day that the republic was reestablished based on Article 2 of the United States Constitution. He officially announced it. So
Okay.
we can say the republic is now in existence. And I've had some discussions with Derek. We said nothing that was done between 1871 and this March is valid because Trump is actually the 19th president of the United States Republic.
Yes.
So
Okay. Well,
that that's my comment on that part.
yes.
The other part, official announcement, I believe is going to be 17th of May.
Why is
He's
that?
doing a big rally on the 17th of May in DC. And I believe that that's when he will announce a lot of these things, but not official Nasara until 4 July, just because of when you want to have the election.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for all that clarification and for us to look at these trigger dates. Rob, any comments on that before I wind the program down with
200,
one or two subjects?
250 years exactly to the date on May 17th of 1776, George Washington led a national repentance and a prayer to God to bless the country before they signed the Declaration of Independence. So if my people will first humble themselves and ask for repentance, the Lord will, God will restore our land. So there's a repentance on the National Mall 250 years to the day that we had the first national repentance, if you will, or prayer vigil in Washington by George Washington. Okay, so I think that's extremely, extremely critically important. Um, I was of the mindset that we're going to see, I believe we'll get price even before law, before we get this Clarity Act signed. We're going to start seeing leaks and rumbles and deals, and information is going to come out. Uh, I was of the mindset that we'd have at least one quarter, April, May, and June, before the 4th of July, to let the oil start running through the engine and get the economy going and get some relief and some, you know, higher gold and higher silver and higher XRP and higher just overall vitality, growth, and health, so that there's an up mood, going into the 4th of July. that it's not going to just be an overnight one over the weekend and everybody's in shock and awe. People are going to have to acclimate and grow and believe that this is real and permanent and here and not just another conspiracy theory rumor. They're not just going to all
Right.
go have this superficial party and glorified barbecue cookout on the 4th of July without a lot of substance behind it. And I think we're going to have a lot of substance going into the 4th of July.
Thank you. This is sort of normally I'd ask on my military panels, but I've got to ask it here as well. It's March 11th here in Thailand, March 12th here in Thailand, March 11th back home there, live right now. Um, while July 4th is a ways away, it's coming pretty quick. And the question that is on the minds of our viewers, and I'm on the pulse of this is why I asked this question. How is it that we're going to be celebrating all these things, as the president has stated, in July? And you gentlemen have raised a whole lot of great information as to the why behind it. But the question that's on people's minds is, we've got a lot of messes to get through. Right, we're dropping bombs. We're doing epic fury. We're on to Cuba. We're on to other places later. Never mind the Epstein debacle, or not debacle, the great release of the Epstein files, and the justice that has to now follow. And then you've got J6, and you've got 9/11. I mean, you've got all the issues. But Russia Gate. Let me boil it down to this: the drums have been beating on the Epstein release, and everyone waiting for justice and through the tribunals. Then you have equally Russiagate. All roads lead to Obama. We saw the Hillary and Bill depositions. What a joke! And so these are big stories, and these are the big fish, at least optically. What's on the minds of people is, will these things? Where will? And also the dangers on the streets of America, the sleeper cells. I mean, the DHS. I did a public service announcement citing specific sources, specifically from the FBI and the DHS, specifically naming the cities and the threat level, which were all greatly concerning. And in light of what's happening now with the retaliations based on the moves made by our military and the commander in chief, it's a long-winded question and statement, but there's a lot here, and this is important. So, with having said all that, dangers in the streets now incoming, presumably, uh, Epstein pursuant to justice, and then the Russiagate, all roads lead to Obama. Trump said he was treasonous. We know the punishment for treason. These things, how is it that we'll be celebrating? To me, if we're celebrating in July and we're showing the world this is who we are, we're back. Where does all that mess? Are we going to get through all that by July? How will it be stable? That's the question. If I hopefully phrased it right, Colonel Lennox, do you care to comment on that? And I realize some of these things will take years, but I'm talking about the time frame of today to July 4th.
There will be a 10-day EBS at some point very soon. When it is, nobody really knows, but it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is the military, 1 million military have been pre-positioned around the United States. That's reserves, National Guard, and active duty.
Mhm.
Because
That's
most of what's
encouraging.
going on, over in Iran is special forces operations, not the regular troops and soldiers, sailors, and airmen. So when the EBS hits, the biggest reason for it is to keep people off the streets, to keep the normal people off the streets, so the military can round up those guys you're talking about that we know are
Okay.
out there, the sleeper cells. They know where they are.
Mhm.
They know who they are.
Mhm.
You know how to get them? Because they have all the information. They've got people inside those sleeper cells, literally inside them.
Mhm.
So they know. But in order to keep you and I from getting shot, or those of us
Mhm.
who are here in the States from getting
Yes.
shot, they've got to close things down for 10 days. That's that's
Okay. Uh,
my thing on that.
Well, thank you very much. Rob, quick comment on that as well.
Um, the truth shall set you free, right? I want to give you an anecdotal evidence. My daughter's a sophomore in high school, and they completely took the lid off the Epstein files and let them become completely searchable, right? They did LLMs that only allowed people to go in and type in and do any kind of data pattern search or query they wanted to and look at these things. 2 weeks after that had done, somehow or another, military and history intelligence class or something. These are sophomores, high school. Some loudmouth punk that doesn't know anything said something about, oh, that's all a bunch of crap. My daughter said 17 kids out of 20 turned around and did a, dude, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And he never said another word. So when the truth came out and the 17-year-olds had gone and checked the truth and they knew what the truth was, they immediately shut down the one idiot loudmouth. Now,
Mhm.
what happens when we get to see people that they'll go and get enough of the truth to satisfy them to know what the truth is, and the truth will set us free. One of the greatest irritants in social media right now is, yeah, well, when's the first arrest going to happen? Nothing's happening. Nobody said anything. It's not on CNN. It's not on Fox News. Nothing's happening. Come on, people,
Bullshit.
please. These people
Yes.
aren't paying attention. But
Correct.
think about flip that over. When they spend a week paying attention and it's available to them and they know the truth, then they'll flip. It's
Mhm.
not that they're saying it's not true, they're saying I haven't seen it yet. And when they see
Yes.
it, they're going to act like those 17 kids in the school looking at somebody that says something stupid and shuts them down because now they will have seen the truth. That's just
Mhm.
to me an anecdotal
Thank you.
evidence of how fast truth can change the psyche of this country.
Absolutely. In a split second. Great points. Would you concur with Colonel Lennox that the EBS is a foregone conclusion? And if so, before July? I know we don't
Look,
have a crystal ball. I understand dates. I get it. You know.
I believe at the end of the day, the greatest risk to this 10-year battle and war that we've been in is that for some reason the general psyche of the public believes it was a banana republic or a military coup or it wasn't legitimate. They have to see how bad it was to give due credit where credit is due and forever appreciate and creating a whole new mountain with just Trump on it. Trump isn't being
Yes.
added to Mount Rushmore. He's going to have his own damn mountain. Okay. But the only way that's going to happen and for us to have a lasting, long, we need that period of time after David cut Goliath's head off, a long period of peace and prosperity, wasn't there? We need to cut the head off the central banking system, and people need to understand the epic nature and effort and sacrifice and dedication and courage and leadership that it took to take the head off of this beast system that was strangling people in 195 nations. When people come to
Yes.
realize that's Trump's legacy, we're
Mhm.
going to have a very long lasting freedom to follow.
Beautiful. Yeah. Restoring sound money and restoring free and fair elections. Legacies of President Donald J. Trump. Thank you. So, gentlemen, we got about 10 or 15 minutes.